Welcome back. So I think this mat icon will be a good example of creating a reusable component that we can use whenever we need an icon that has a margin on each side. So we're going to make this mat icon into a simple component. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by deciding where should we put this new component, and I want to put it inside the shared folder right here because I want to reuse it a lot of places in my code probably. So let's just start out by actually creating a new component. And let's just call it the MarginIcon. That's going to be a good name. So I'll do an ng generate component, nggc, and there I'm going to explain I want it inside the shared module, and I want it to be called, notice here I'm using the class name of MarginIcon, right? Not lowercase, but uppercase margin and uppercase icon, because it's going to be the component name. So I'll press enter here, and notice it'll actually create in the shared folder right here. If I just click it, you'll see it. It'll actually create a MarginIcon folder, and that's going to contain the 4 files we're used to having. And inside the shared module, it actually also goes in and creates the declaration for the MarginIcon. And I also want to right away remember to export this guy because I want other people to have access to my new MarginIcon component. Sweet. Now what do we do next? Well, we need to kind of explain what should the HTML for a MarginIcon component be. That's very easy because we already have it defined inside the app component HTML right here, that this is how a MarginIcon component should look. So I'm just going to cut this right here, and I'm going to put it inside the HTML instead, in the MarginIcon component HTML. There we go. So now we set it up, and let's just do this for now. Let's actually also have an end tag for it, or else it'll probably complain a bit. And let's just jump back to our HTML and just clean this up. I see that I made a small mistake here, so I just want to grab it all. I only want to keep the home there. So let's just put this in here. This is how it should look, right? So we have an end tag, and in the middle we're going to explain what the icon should look like. Don't worry, we'll change this later, but I just want the basic HTML in here to make an icon. If I go back here now, there's only the home, actually the text for the home. So if I look at the page, you'll notice it only says home. There's no icon anymore, right? Let's get that back. Now the way we do that is now just go into the MarginIcon component TS file. There we have the selector right here, and that's actually how we are going to get the icon back, by using this selector or this tag name right here. So let's try and do that. Into the app component HTML file, and let's just add the tag here. There we go. Now this is how it's going to look in the future now when we want to get a margin icon. This is how it's going to look. Let's try and have a look at the view now, and the home page is back with the margin and everything we want, right? Sweet. But it's not very reusable yet. If I go and put this icon down here instead of this guy, you'll notice that even though it looks like we have a new icon, it still puts in the home, right? So now they're the same. That's not what I wanted. I wanted this to actually show a folder. So we need to have some kind of input now into our app margin here. Our MarginIcon right here. So jumping into the component, let's add an input. Again, notice how simple it is to just start adding information to our folders. I want an input right here, and I want that to be the icon name, right? So that's just going to be the input that I want right here. Now that icon name is of course going to be, is this a folder, or is this, what are we actually passing into the icon right here? And that's going to be of the type of string. So now I can pass in the name of the icon that I want to show. Now what else do we need? Well, we need to explain that that name is going to be available right here. So let's just put that in here. That's going to be the icon name. Maybe it's home, maybe it's whatever I want to put in here. So let's try and go back to our app component now to actually use that input. That means that now there's a square bracket available called icon name, and here I can now write home. Whoops, let's lowercase this. Home. Notice that we have double quotation and single quotation. That's because I want to send in a string right here. That's why I'm using the single quotation. And for this guy, we're going to have an icon name of folder. There we go. Sweet. Let's just try and go back and see if that did the trick. Now we have the home and folder back. We just made our new component. Now we can do one more thing, because I don't want the styling to be put directly in here. So we'll just call this in here. We're just going to give it a class name of icon like this, and we're going to use that class name inside our margin component cs.icon right here, and just put in the style. And now you do it like this instead. So we put in the style like this, and we do a new space and the style like this. And I think Let's just call it MarginIcon instead. I think icon is a very common name, so let's not use that name. So we'll just put the style in here, notice, and then I'll put in the class name here. Now we've kind of made a very clean component here, and we could even start working with the size of the margin, that we can pass that into the component as well if we wanted to, right? But let's just keep it like this. We made a very simple component now with a basic 5-pixel margin on the left and the right. We call it the the margin icon right here, and we can now start adding that icon where we want in our code using the shared module. That's all for this lesson. Hope that it makes sense, and now we kind of have some more clean code available. Very simple way to start using our icons like this. See you in the next lesson. Have fun.